Most people think of zoos as places where animals are on display. But what if I told you that not long ago, actual human beings were exhibited in zoos right here in the United States? Today, we're talking about the disturbing history of human zoos and the story of how Africans and other marginalized groups were displayed like animals for public entertainment or so called science. Human zoos, also known as ethnological exhibitions, were public displays where people, often African, indigenous people, or people from colonized nations, were shown in cages or staged villages. They were advertised as educational, but in reality, they dehumanized entire cultures and reinforced racist ideas of white superiority. While these exhibitions happened all over Europe, many people forget they also happened in the United States. One of the most infamous examples is Oda Benga, a man from the Congo. In 1904, he was brought to the St. Louis World Fair and displayed alongside other people in so called anthropology villages. 2 years later, he was literally placed inside of a cage in the Bronx Zoo in New York, inside the monkey house alongside an orangutan. Crowds came to gawk, newspapers described him as primitive, and his humanity was literally stripped away. This was not ancient history. This was just over 100 years ago. The St. Louis Fair of 1904 was one of many sites participating in human exhibitions. The fair displayed over 1,000 people from different countries in artificial villages, reinforcing racial stereotypes. Africans, Filipinos, and Native Americans were put on display to supposedly prove theories of racial hierarchy. These fairs drew millions of visitors, normalizing the idea that people of color were curiosities to be studied and to be mocked. These so called exhibitions weren't just cruel entertainment, they were deeply tied to pseudoscience. At the time, ideas like scientific racism claimed that Europeans were more evolved than other groups. By putting Africans and indigenous people in cages or staged villages, human zoos made those racist theories feel real to the public. They turned oppression into spectacle, they turned humiliation into entertainment. Even though human zoos eventually disappeared, the damage they caused did not. They left behind stereotypes that still echo today. Ideas about who is civilized and who isn't. They also reveal just how recent and public the dehumanization really was. We're not talking about ancient Rome. We're talking about American zoos and fairs that our grandparents may have visited or may have been a part of. The story of human zoos in the United States is a reminder that racism wasn't just laws and policies, it was culture, it was entertainment, it was considered normal. Remembering Mr. Banga and others who were put on display helps us to understand how far we've come and also how far we still need to go.